Greetings, globe heads and flurfers. You know, today I was watching a YouTube video. I believe that I was watching the Non Sequitur show, and a guy named Flat Earth Jesus was debating, I believe, Red's rhetoric. He asked a question that I think is a really good question, and I would love to have seen Red's rhetoric and some of the other guys that were on that show explain and answer his question. Now, I'm not faulting them for not answering it. Within seconds of either just seconds before or seconds after asking this question, he said something incredibly stupid, which Flat Earth Jesus is prone to do. If you don't know him, this guy thinks that the moon was dug up by giants out of the Grand Canyon and then thrown up into the air in a molten state, and as it cooled, it got air bubbles in it, and when they popped, that left the craters. The craters on the moon are not really meteor craters; they're burst bubbles from when it was mined out of the Grand Canyon. So yeah, he says some crazy things. So he made one of these statements, and he totally distracted the guys. They went after that, and they didn't stop to answer his question, which I thought was a really good question and actually made me question some things right at first, and so I had to research it. So I'd like to answer it now. And his question was, they were talking about gravity and the scientific claim that gravity is a force by which all matter attracts all other matter with a force relative to its mass toward the center of mass of the the combined total mass of the objects. And Flat Earth Jesus, his question was, if this is true, why does for example, a 5-pound hammer and a 10-pound hammer, if you drop them, they fall at the same speed? Shouldn't the more massive hammer fall at a faster speed? It is a good question, but it's a simple answer when you think about it. Now, I'm not talking about, when I talk about the difference in speed between things falling, don't confuse this with very, very light things that their weight relative to their wind resistance will make them fall slowly, like a feather. We know from experience that experiments that have been conducted that a feather will fall the same rate as a hammer, for example, in a vacuum. But because of wind resistance relative to their weight, they will fall fairly slowly in the air. But I'm not talking about that concept. I'm talking about the concept of, why do items all fall at a predictable same rate of speed? They accelerate toward the Earth at 9.8 meters per second squared, regardless of size. And why does the 10-pound hammer not fall twice as fast as a 5-pound hammer? And here's the answer. Because, Mr. Flat Earth Jesus, the total force of gravity upon those objects is based on the mass of the object that's falling and the Earth. Both. The mass of both objects combined. If I was falling toward the Earth, in reality, the Earth and I are falling toward each other. Our mass is attracting the two of us together. Now, the Earth weighs 5.972 times 10 to the 24th power kilograms. I can't even wrap my head around that number. We'll just say it's massive. And I weigh, sorry, I don't know this in kilograms. I'm an American. I weigh about 230 pounds. So it's going to be far, far easier to accelerate me than it is the Earth. And each of us is going to accelerate and fall toward each other relative to our mass. So while I may fall thousands of feet to the Earth from wherever I fell from, the Earth is not going to move any amount that is measurable with any known device that we have. I don't even know how much it would be. Maybe the Earth would move 1/1 millionth of the diameter of an electron. Probably less than that. Very, very small amount. But we do attract each other. Now, this is the reason why you weigh less on the moon than you do on Earth. The moon has less mass. You weigh less on Mars than you do on Earth. Mars has less mass. But that mass that is going to cause the force of gravity is the mass of the two objects combined. So, when you drop the 10-pound hammer, or when you drop the 5-pound hammer, 99.99999, repeating for a long time, percent of the mass that is causing that hammer to fall is the Earth's mass. And so the difference between the Earth's mass plus the 5-pound hammer versus the Earth's mass plus the 10-pound hammer is negligible. Theoretically, those two hammers do not fall at the same speed, but the difference in the speed that they would fall is so indescribably small, there will probably never be a device sensitive enough to measure that small difference. And that's why, for all intents and purposes, both hammers fall at the same speed. Gravity is real. The Earth is not flat. Don't fall for the snake oil that's for sale out there on the internet. Good night. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.